Welcome to the Lord Be With You podcast show, also called Christian Fandom Geek on YouTube. I'm your host, Azzy. Today we're talking about the Loki TV show with Omar, our resident font of knowledge in cosmic wizardry, lore, and canon super Jedi. You've been promoted, not just a Jedi anymore, you're a super Jedi. The
Does that
Jedi
mean like in the
Master.
High Council?
Wow. Oh, I should have done like Anakin. You're on here, but we're not granting you the title of God Master. That's never happened before. This is an insult. Oh my gosh, that was funny. Take a seat, young Anakin. Master Windu. Okay, here we go. All right, Omar, how you doing, man? Because it's been a little while since the last time you had you on. How you doing?
Yes, yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks.
You
Uh,
living the good life.
yeah, keeping up with all the geekery, so everything's all good.
Oh my gosh, yeah, well, we're not going to go into this one. But the last thing I was reading, and I know you will, because you're so on it with geekery. You've heard about this sort of Batman controversy, haven't you?
Oh gosh, yes, it's been
Oh my
everywhere,
god!
hasn't it?
Now, because this is a I'm not, I'm not saying it's totally PG on this show, but it is sort of family friendly. We don't go too we don't
Yes,
the rated R superstar. We don't go too much about above rated R. So
yeah.
um, but yeah, so there is if you're if and you're into the sort of Batman animated shows and comics, cartoons, and all that sort of stuff, you will know what we're talking about there. And
Yes.
um, I think that Warner Brothers made the right decision on that. Personally, I think they were right to do that.
I,
But I
I
do.
I I think I'm on the opposite side.
You think that they should that the Harley, because it's a Harley Quinn animated show,
So
but
the Harley
is
Quinn
that right?
animated show is not for kids.
It's an adult show, isn't it? It's an
It's an
adult.
adult show, so I don't
Yeah.
like. That's why I don't see a problem. I mean, it was only recently, I think it was what 3, 4 years ago when they did the Killing Joke um
Oh gosh,
adaptation.
well. I heard about. I didn't know anything about that, and then I saw it on Twitter, and I saw someone talking about it. And what happened? Is it to is
Barbara,
it
yeah, Barbara
Batgirl?
Gordon.
Yeah, back and I didn't know anything about it, and I read about it the other day, and I was shocked. I'm like, oh no, they didn't do that.
Yeah, that was
I
super. That was super weird. I mean, that's not in the original book at all.
wow, because that's I mean, I know that comic books do push boundaries. I think anyone who understands sort of comic book genre in any
Yeah,
way will recognize they do push boundaries, but that took it to an extreme. I think a lot of folks wouldn't be comfortable with that at all. Oh, like it
especially
really
when you
pushed.
know the context of it too, knowing
Yeah,
the relationship that is between Batman and Batgirl, and
yeah,
especially the relationship between Batgirl and Nightwing,
yeah,
which is kind of like they you know what I mean, they are like the big lovers. No matter how much they date other people, them
yeah.
two have always had a thing. And to have
Right.
Batman, who is essentially Nightwing's father figure,
Mm.
do that just makes it all the more weirder.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So
That
I
might
mean, and
that
then
might
the
have to be
whole,
another episode.
yeah, well, I mean, the whole controversy what's now, that doesn't, that makes complete sense because Batman and Catwoman have history.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, they almost got married a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
So
that's been referenced in a lot of the
yeah.
conversations, and they've said, oh, because he won't do this certain thing, that's why she's left him at the altar. And it's like, well, that might be one reason why. I I don't know. I know obviously when you're Warner Brothers, Warner Media, whatever they're calling themselves these days.
Oh yeah, that's a whole
With the
other
old, I
thing.
know, I know, I know. Um, you want to protect the IP, and obviously Superman and Batman are Warner Brothers' biggest IP. Really, I think they're the
Yeah,
two most iconic characters within the franchise. So I do get that there's a kind of, hang on a minute, do we, I guess you want to protect the IP, but I do get you what you're saying as well that this Harley Quinn TV show, it is an adult TV show. It's not for kids. It's not,
yeah,
it's not. It is adult branded. So it does go places that other shows within the sort of canon will not go.
yeah.
Um,
Like the thing is with DC, they are very well known for kind of deconstructing superheroes and the tropes, which kind of fits
Yeah,
into what we talk about in here. But
yeah,
like Marvel, like that wouldn't happen in Marvel. It just doesn't track with their kind of modus operandi. But
yeah.
in DC, it does kind of make sense.
Oh, okay, okay. I get what you're saying. It fits within the a sort of the narrative of what DC do. I kind of
Yeah,
they're just thinking. They're just thinking, hang on a minute, we don't want a Kathleen Kennedy situation. We don't want the toy sales to go down like they did in Star Wars. They're true. They're like, hang on a minute, Kathleen, you do your thing over at Lucasfilm. God bless you, that's all good. But over here,
yeah,
our toy sales are still going really good. So
yeah.
we ain't messing with that. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get. We're talking about Loki. So, okay, briefly, who is Loki? If there might be listeners to the show who don't know much about Loki, who is Loki? What is his quick history within Marvel Comics?
Well, we have to refer to him as the modern Loki because the original Loki in the Marvel was a
Yeah.
completely different character,
Okay.
created by
Wow.
Stan Lee.
Yeah.
But the modern Loki is the one that's in the kind of lore of Thor and the
Yeah.
Asgardians.
Yeah.
He is Thor's adopted brother, and is the kind of representation of the Norse god of mischief.
Mm.
Thor, he is not just a villain. He's one of those kind of very fluid characters where
Okay.
he can be a villain and he also can be an anti-hero. Um,
Yeah.
so there has been times. I mean, gosh, this is gotta be nearly 10 years ago. One of my favorite runs in comics was Young Avengers about
Okay.
10 years ago, when just before that Loki was killed and he was resurrected as a kid, Kid
Oh
Loki,
wow.
and he
Yeah.
actually became a member of the Young Avengers. So that he was kind of like a spoilt brat that was kind of mischievous, but kind of was still a bit of a hero. So
Yeah.
there has been different versions of him. He's also been no, he is quite a gender fluid character too. Um,
Right. Okay.
where he has been a woman and he's been a man.
Yeah.
Um, so there has been different kind of iterations of him. So
So
yeah,
the different iterations of him when you say gender fluid, are you talking is that through resurrection or is that them using the multiverse ensemble to do that?
no, that's Odin punishing him, turning him into a woman. He's
Oh
been a
wow.
kid. Yeah, yeah. There's been yeah. There's he's been one of those characters that kind of moves in that way, which is quite interesting because not much characters up until recently have been like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously I know there is a female Thor, isn't there?
Yeah,
Jane
but that's
Foster, is that
not.
right?
Yeah, that's not Thor Odin's son. That's a completely
Oh.
different character who took the power of Thor. Which you are right
Oh.
is Jane Foster. But
Yeah.
Thor Odin's son, the son of Odin, was basically was called the unworthy Thor because he lost the hammer.
Right.
So there was two of them operating at the same time, but that's different to Loki, where it was the same Loki, but as a woman.
Okay, now I'm just thinking out if any of the listeners of the show are kind of more on the liberal side, even very would think of themselves as quite woke, they'll be happy that there's a female iteration of Loki. However,
Yeah.
maybe the more go
I mean,
ahead.
even I was going to say, even Loki is known to be with his sexuality too, has been known as being bi.
Okay, okay, be bisexual. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, whereas if you're more maybe a traditional, more conservative fan, you'll probably be they might be laughing at the joke at the fact that he was punished and made to be a woman. So either way, someone will be happy and someone might not be happy based on
That'd
that situation.
be, yeah,
Oh, well, you got to have a laugh. And on the Lobby with Your podcast show, we do have a bit of a laugh. We You got to have a laugh at some of the paradigms within fandom,
yeah.
because obviously, one of the things that we know, Omar, is that you can't please all the fans
No, you
at all.
can't.
Which goes on to my next kind of question. There's been some talk within the fandom universe about Loki. Obviously, there's been a couple of episodes. I've caught the first episode, not the second one just yet, but I don't. We can still talk about it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there's been talk about the fact that some fans in Twitter universe and on the internet have been complaining that the show has started off a bit slow paced, having too much dialogue. What do you think about that?
It's setting up a whole new paradigm. It has to take its time. Just like how the early episodes of WandaVision, I think
Yeah,
the pacing was a little bit slower and then it kind of built itself up. But I mean,
yeah,
with Loki, what's the kind of ideas that it's bringing out now? It's gonna have a very profound effect on Phase 4.
yeah.
So, like, for me, take all the time you need right now
Mm,
because we need to. This is the one shot to make all of this make sense. And
yeah,
if
yeah.
I know you haven't seen the second episode, I watched it last night. I
Was
won't
you impressed?
spoil it. Oh
Was you
yes,
impressed with it? You were.
yes.
Okay.
But
That's got me excited for it now.
but what I'm saying is it's bringing in some very interesting concepts from the comics that if you already know what the slate of Marvel films that are coming, there it's very much pointing to that this is going to have a very very massive effect on the Marvel universe going forward.
Yeah, because obviously, from what I've seen to do with advertising of this new round of movies, it's obviously you talk about this Marvel have this sort of um they have a very interesting approach. Their long term plan, don't they?
Yeah,
Probably quite a bit different to DC and Warner Brothers how they've done with their sort of world ensemble.
yeah,
Marvel are playing the long game, and I like what they're doing now. I like that it's not ad hoc. They're not just responding to 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 DC. They're doing their own thing. They've planned it ahead. They're not messing around.
yeah,
And so, in that respect, I really like what they're doing now. And obviously, we've seen things to do with the Eternals, which is obviously coming in. There's been an
yeah,
Eternals advertising for that in trailer as well. And but from what I understood, it seemed to be going towards sort of mystical aspect of the comic books and the multiverse. That's what I seem to kind of think about that. What do you think on that as well? Where
yes.
where they're going?
That's definitely where they're pointing. I mean, we already know the title of the next Doctor Strange film is
Yeah,
the multiverse of madness.
yeah.
So this definitely looks like it's playing into that. We already know that the WandaVision show plays straight into the Doctor Strange film too. Like the whole time variant authority and the way that they're explaining the multiverse in this show is going to have a knock-on effect on future shows. And also um the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania film that's coming up too. This definitely
Yeah.
is going to play into it. I bet you bottom dollar that this is definitely going to play into it because if we already know that the villain for that film is Kang, and
Okay.
this is very much in. Well, watching the show, I feel like Loki's playing a bit like Kang right now, so
Yeah.
that's it's very interesting to see how this goes.
Brilliant. So you mentioned the time variance authority. Okay,
Yeah,
they have a big role within the comic books, aren't they? So
yeah,
once again, there'll be listeners of the show that won't know who they are or have only just encountered them through watching the Loki TV show. So who are the time variance authority? What are their powers? Because they do come across as very powerful in the first episode, but I think sometimes as powerful as they look,
yeah.
they're probably 100 times more powerful in the comic book.
Well, Time Variance Authority is quite an interesting story. Number one, they were the original creation, even though they weren't named at the time, they were originally started in the Marvel UK
Oh wow.
line of stuff. Yeah, Alan Moore created. It's very much originally tied to Captain Britain. Um,
Ah,
because if you know
wow.
Captain Britain is not, even though it sounds the same, Captain Britain is not tied in like an equivalent of Captain America.
Yeah, because it comes across like it's just a UK iteration of Captain America sort of thing.
Yeah, but that's not the case. Captain Britain and the title of Captain Britain is the protector of all multiverses.
Oh wow, so Captain Britain. Now I don't know that much about Captain Britain, and once again,
Yeah,
there'll be listeners to the show who don't know much about Captain Britain. I knew
yeah,
that when with there was talk of Henry Cavill potentially leaving DC and going for that role because obviously he's had a lot of contractual issues with Warner Brothers,
Yeah,
as to whether he'll because obviously Henry Cavill wants to do a Man of Steel 2,
yeah,
potentially even a Man of Steel 3 movie. They're kind of
yeah,
saying no at the moment.
yeah.
Um, so there's
I agree. Well, if Zack Snyder's a part of it, then I agree that they shouldn't do it.
yeah, I know you're not a Zack Schneider fan, are you?
No, no.
Um, um, so yeah, there is this sort of aspect of this sort of Captain sort of Britain thing. So, do you think going on about that? Do you think Henry Cavill would be good in that role, and do you think he will go across to it?
I don't know if he will come across. I think he would be great in that role. I think he'll be. Well, I think he'll play a great Brian Braddock. Also, just to let you know, as a little Easter egg,
Hmm.
the scene in Endgame when Tony and Steve go back in time and meet Tony's dad,
Yeah,
and you see Peggy Carter in the other
yeah,
room.
yeah.
She does make reference to a person called Braddock,
Oh
which is
wow.
which the Braddock family is. Well, Brian Braddock becomes Captain Britain, and his twin sister Betsy Braddock is Psylocke from the X-Men.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So
Um.
it's quite interesting that at time it was a time it was a time traveling scene that they made a reference to Braddock, and now
Yeah.
we have Loki with the TVA, which is kind of a connection to Captain Britain there too.
Brilliant. And what is it? What is Captain Britain's powers? Like this is like geek mode stuff now. What are his powers?
Well, he's got like the well, got quite a few powers and stuff. Can has the flight, got the super strength and all that. But
Yeah.
his whole thing is not so much about the powers. It's all about the core. It's a bit like
Yeah.
Green Lantern. There's not one Captain Britain. There's a Captain Britain for every universe, and they protect the multiverse. And basically, England is the nexus between all universes.
We already knew that anyway. We already knew that. God, we're from, the Lord Worthy podcast show on Christian Fandom Geek is a UK show, a UK production. We already knew that. Sorry, we've got a lot of American fans of the show. Sorry, guys. I know it's normally about you because of Hollywood and YouTube and all that, but no, it's actually really about us.
Yeah. So their job, their title is to protect the multiverse, and through that, the kind of the concept of the TVA came through that, and then I think in the US when they're kind of introduced with that name, that
Yeah,
was through Thor. It was in the Thor comics,
yeah.
and it actually was actually a homage to one of the editors, in at Marvel, who was kind of the Filoni of Marvel.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
keeper of continuity.
Dave
Mark
Filoni.
Green, yeah, Mark Grunwald. So
Okay.
basically, the original concept was all the characters in the Time Variant Authority looked all the same. They were all clones who were all modeled on that editor.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. Wow, this is a brilliant episode. I knew this would be a good episode. And we're still hopefully sorting out very soon. We've still got the history of Marvel Comics episode that we're going to be doing, where we're going to be
Yeah.
talking about Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. That is an episode for fans of the show to look out for. It's going to be absolutely action packed. So look forward to
Yes.
that one. Look forward to that one indeed. Now, okay, moving on swiftly. Okay, so what did you make of the look of the show so far? Why is the look so important? And I think Kate Herron is the director, and I've really enjoyed the look of the Loki show so far.
Yeah. Well, it really tickles me as a design graduate and a fan of design. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
for me, what I absolutely love about the look of the show is the neo brutalist architecture.
yeah,
I think it's just wonderful, and I think it really, really ties in to kind of what the TVA is kind of like this kind of bureaucratic kind of entity.
yeah,
So I really like that kind of retro brutalist kind of look. I think it's really cool.
yeah. It kind of reminded me. I got a kind of almost like a 60s, 70s vibe from it.
Yes, yes. And
And I
this is what
thought,
I think really, really the Disney Plus Marvel TV shows have really played into this whole idea of kind of branching out from just the regular Marvel ideas.
Yeah.
One Division for one, and now this. Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's really kind of spreading its wings and telling different stories with established characters that we already know.
I think that is such a novel and clever idea, and I think
Yeah,
the way they play with genres of time
yeah,
and a culture,
yeah.
brilliant, absolutely amazing. Like they've
And also, I don't know if you've been watching the Modoc series too. That also
no, I
plays
haven't.
into
Oh no, I haven't actually. Okay, so that's another one.
yeah,
Brilliant, brilliant. So we've obviously look at it, and like I say, oh, hang on, a quick thing as well. I nearly forgot. Do you remember the scene in episode one where there's this geeky guy at the office, and like Loki's basically threatening him, and he opens a drawer, and basically he's got like the Infinity Gauntlet in his office drawer. All them gems are in there, and it's just like
yeah,
it looked basically just like a toy. It was like they were like toys, and Loki was looking at them and was like, huh? Like what, like you guys are treating it like it's a bit of like it's a a paperclip or
yeah,
a pencil or something, or and it's like, but he was like after these things, and it was like cosmic power. But to these guys, these are like they're like trinkets. They're almost like nothing.
yeah. That is very much referenced in the comic books. The Infinity Stones are the most powerful kind of things in the universe, but only for that universe.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you were in a different universe, it doesn't work. So that's what that is. Famously, um, in the Marvel versus, I think it was Marvel versus DC, or was it? Um, they, so I can't remember which Marvel character took the Infinity Gems to the DC universe, and it just didn't work.
oh wow.
Yeah, so it is actually canon that the Infinity Stones only work in the universe that they were created in.
Interesting. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so what there was a really pivotal moment, and where it talks about like Loki has a really interesting. Now I don't know, I can't remember who Owen Wilson's character is.
Mobius.
Oh, that's it. Okay, that's my best. Right, so Owen Wilson, right, is I think I find it really interesting. I like him anyway. I think he's way underrated.
Yeah,
And I like him in the show, and it kind of goes on, and he spoke about Loki's role to lose to the Avengers and make them look good. And I gotta say,
yeah,
it was the first time I've ever felt sorry for Loki, because he was like, it was just the look on his face when he realized that he thought he was one of the big players within the whole ensemble and the universe, and then he realized, yeah, you're not really as big a dog as you think you are.
but didn't
Um,
we? But didn't we know that?
well, this
No,
is the
but I mean,
thing.
if you watch the original Avengers,
Yeah,
I mean, when we saw Thanos at in the credits, we knew, oh, Loki was not the big bad.
yeah, we knew he wasn't the big bad, but I guess he would have probably thought he might have had a seat at the table or something. But
Yeah,
but then on the way that they've done it on this, it's not even. It's like it's almost like even the more powerful ones, even like I mean, because it's an interesting one because obviously Thanos from the comic books, Thanos does get to a level of cosmic power, doesn't he?
yeah,
Um, so you can't really put Thanos. He's almost in his own league, really. But in terms of this, for me, I got a vibe of sort of free will versus determinism, because
yes,
the way that he was said like, oh, your role is to lose to the Avengers and make them look good. It was like, oh, so basically, did he even have a choice in this? Like, what did you make of that sort of free will versus determinism argument?
that was a very interesting argument to play, but it also I could see it as a nod to, hey, this is fictional law, and the
Yeah,
writers are the
yeah.
one who determines what you are.
The arbiters, aren't
That's
they? They're
kind of
the
what I
arbiters.
took. Yeah, that's what I kind of took from it. That kind of this is a metafictional universe.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is a very interesting thing. I mean, it does basically say the role that Loki is the villain to be thwarted. At the end of the day, for the heroes to overcome as an obstacle.
So the question then is now, if we're taking it on sort of on a meta level, but even thinking of philosophical implications as well.
Yeah.
Can Loki break out of that archetype? Can he break out of that paradigm and be something more than what was originally set for him? Can he become more than his narrative?
I think he can, and I think he did. I think that was the whole point. That like his character arc up before Endgame. Well, yeah, before Endgame up until the Infinity War was
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
could that he did become more, and he gave in the end, you know, after everything and all the posturing, that he did actually sacrifice himself for the greater good. But the
mm,
thing is that the show that we're watching now gives us a Loki that's not at that point.
yeah.
I mean, if you see the
At the
whole
end of the
thing where he's broken up when he sees that Frigga, his kind of adopted mother,
yeah, yeah,
dies,
yeah,
that really touches him, and you can see that arc in Thor: The Dark World, where
yeah.
that was the kind of the impetus for him to
Change.
kind of change his ways.
Yeah, yeah. And then and then you kind of see more of an anti-hero rather than the villain
Yeah.
going
Well, you can
forward,
see that
isn't
in
it?
Thor Ragnarok, can't you? That he's more of an anti-hero than a villain in
Yeah.
that.
Quickly, just explain, and we are coming towards the end of this episode of the show now. The difference between, say, an anti-hero and a villain. What is the main difference?
Well, a villain does it for their own gain, and you know, it's kind of the trope of evil, where an anti-hero is a character that may have good intentions, but does things that may be morally kind of in the gray area.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Punisher is the ultimate example of that. Punisher is not a hero in any
Mm,
way. He is the epitome of the anti-hero, just like the film version of Venom. He's an
yeah,
anti-hero,
yeah.
or even
Uh,
Deadpool.
yeah. So for anyone who's a wrestling fan, I'm thinking of like Steve Austin in his
Yeah,
early run in WWE.
yeah.
Um,
If we want to go to wrestling terms, an anti-hero is a tweener, not a heel,
yeah,
not a face. The
yeah,
Rock,
yeah, yeah,
Stone Cold, the characters that can sometimes do bad things, but still cheers because you know that it's for a good ending.
yeah, yeah. Those sort of guys, the sort of guys that like they're so popular. For whatever they do, they're popular.
Yeah,
HBK was one.
yeah,
Triple H was a good one as well. They're guys that they just go out there and they'll do whatever they want and they'll beat up the good guys and they'll beat up the bad guys and they're just known as that sort of character or the man or whatever it is because
yeah.
they're just that popular. They can do whatever they want, type of thing. They're breaking archetypes all over the place.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant, Omar. Absolutely amazing conversation. And like I said, fans of the show, get onto Christian Fandom Geek on YouTube, hit sub. We've got awesome episodes with Omar coming up very soon. History of Marvel Comics, talking about Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And Omar, thank you for being on the show again.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Talk to you soon. God bless.
See you again. Bye.